And just like that, they're 2-2 heading into the mini bye. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien. She's Elise Jesse. The Bengals, well, they were victorious on Thursday Night Football in their all-whites in front of a record-breaking crowd here at Paycor Stadium, 27-15 over the Miami Dolphins. And to me, there was a lot to get to here. First off, let's talk about Tua for a second. Hopefully Tua Tagovailoa is okay, and it's nothing too serious, even though it looked really serious and scary. It sounds like he's going to travel back to Miami tonight, which is really, really good news. But as far as the Bengals are concerned, we're hearing about it all week, how explosive this Dolphins offense was. Tyreek Hill, and he got his. But Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, I had to say it over and over and over again over the past 3 days because it wasn't even a full week. And this Bengals defense steps up. They allowed one touchdown. They bend some, but they don't break. They forced 2 turnovers. And I think that's why the Bengals are 2-2 right now. The defense did its job and did it at a really high level.
You know what? The defense seemed like they were seamless. And I was not expecting that because DJ Reader is out. So that puts a whole lot more pressure on the defensive line, on Sam Hubbard, on Trey Hendrickson. We saw blackout Trey really early tonight, which was actually fun to see. But it didn't seem like they were affected as much as I would have expected them to be tonight. And they were still coming up with those big splash plays, which we really didn't see a lot of in the first 2 weeks.
We didn't. And that was my criticism of this defense. Mitch Trubisky, Cooper Rush, you need to make a big play. And Vonn Bell made the big plays tonight when the Dolphins are driving, and I'm like, heck, they might score here. I'm going to have to get my third game story out, my fourth game, and we're going to have to go down this nail-biter road that we've been down time and time again with this team. It didn't happen because Vonn Bell made that diving interception. And I think that's what separates the really great defenses from the good ones, the ones that a lot of defenses can bend and not break, but can you force the plays, force the turnovers when you need them? And Vonn Bell did that. You talked to him afterwards.
I did. He said his interception, his first one, was his favorite one. And he was just kind of talking about how they've had so much urgency in practice to really come up with those splash plays, play really well together, know your assignments, and execute. And especially with DJ Reader out, they all executed pretty well, I would say, tonight against the one undefeated team in the AFC.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the pressure was on the Bengals tonight.
Yeah,
you have the Ring of Honor. You have a packed house, 67,260. Did I nail that? I think I did. Record crowd here at Paycor. And so you have that. You have the helmets. You have the pressure of being 1-2. Yeah. And I asked Burrow afterwards, I was like, did you view this as almost a 2-pack of games? Week 3 and week 4. Jets, Dolphins, 5 days, you get 2 wins, and you feel much better. And he was like, that's exactly what we did after Dallas. We looked at it as a package deal. It wasn't just one. We had to get both. And I think the conversation, even our tone, is much different right now than it would be if they were 1-3. Yes. And so the pressure was on them, and this defense responded. They were consistent throughout the night. They bent some early, held the Dolphins to field goals. Teddy Bridgewater comes in, leads them down for a touchdown, and then they adjust and continue to get stops in key moments.
And it was crucial that they did get this win tonight, James, because going into Baltimore, 1-3 is crushingly brutal, okay? Yeah. And then you have 3 of your next 4 games on the road. 2 of them are in prime time. So the Ravens are on a Sunday night, so all the bright lights, the big stage, it's all going to be back again on next Sunday. And then you've got the Saints, you've got the Falcons at home, but then you go right to Cleveland for a Monday night game. So you're back on that big stage again. So for me, watching this offense and this defense play so well under all of the pressure, all of the bright lights, it's not going to be a conversation where we're wondering if they can handle this kind of stage. Do you remember when Andy Dalton was playing here? And the constant narrative was, can Andy Dalton handle the primetime stage? And usually it did not end in the Bengals' favor.
Yeah, it feels much different now with this group. And if you saw Joe Burrow's suit before the game, he's certainly not afraid to draw some attention his way. Burrow finished 20 of 31 for 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. And here's the thing, the numbers look great. And I looked at the numbers afterwards and I'm like, man, Burrow looked great. But watching the game, I didn't think that it was you can't zero me Joe performance where he's just dominating. And it's because he had a 59-yard pass. He had a really long pass to Tyler Boyd. I forget the amount of yards, but the 59-yard touchdown to T, and then the dagger to Chase late in the fourth quarter. Explosive plays kind of carried the offense tonight.
And, Jamar Chase had to be patient because at one point you and I were both talking about it. Like, we haven't seen Jamar Chase catch a ball in a really long time. He had only caught one pass all game, and that was in the first quarter. He only had 3 targets. So it was until late in the fourth quarter, where we finally saw Joe Burrow start targeting Chase a little bit more, and that was good to see because you had to bring a big wide receiver like that. You got to bring him back into that game plan.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd was the one who connected with Chase on his second reception. Who had that my bookie odds, right? I mean, it was that's what I mean by it's weird. And so when it's a weird way to go about it, but obviously, I mean, they scored 27 points. Mm-hmm. So it's not like if you would have said, "Hey, they're going to score 27." I think that probably would have been good enough. Or right there, I had 30-27 Bengals going into this, so I thought they were going to have to score. And so they get the 27, but it wasn't as clean, I would say, from a viewing standpoint, right? But I think that's a positive in a way because you mentioned Baltimore. Baltimore has been scoring a ton of points on offense. Devin Duvernay has played well for them. They have Rashad Bateman. Lamar Jackson looks like the MVP from a few years ago. You're going to have to score points.
Absolutely.
And so if this offense is even better in Week 5, maybe they take another step forward. The defense is already playing well, and just like that, the Bengals start to get in their groove.
I think we think that the Bengals offense looks weird because we're so used to watching them from 2021. We're used to seeing the really well executed plays. We're used to seeing Joe Burrow quick on his decision making, seeing the field extremely well. And we're seeing a little bit of that. We're seeing sparks of it, it seems like. They seem like they're on the right track, but they're not where they want to be yet. They obviously still have a lot of corrections to make. But at least they're making the corrections like one step at a time, and it seems like they will get to the point of being a buzzsaw offense like we expected to really see at the start of 2022.
And part of that has to do with the run game and the offensive line. 2 things on that. First, the offensive line. Joe Burrow went out of his way to praise the offensive line a ton. I know on the Amazon broadcast he did. He certainly did in the news conference that we posted here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And I thought they were pretty good from a pass blocking standpoint tonight. What'd you think?
I thought so too. 1 sack given up, 3 quarterback hits. I think it was Karras who stepped on Joe Burrow's foot at one point. So you kind of were hoping that was not going to be a thing that lingered for Joe Burrow. And it wasn't. But it seems like they are finally clicking. They're starting to get comfortable with each other and each other's tendencies. And that goes a long way in giving Joe Burrow a clean pocket and enough time to be able to see the field and make the throws that he wants to, go through his progressions.
Speaking of progressions, I was hoping to see a little bit more progress in the run game.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen tonight. It did early, and they started quick, and they score 9 plays, 75 yards to start the game. Joe Mixon gets pushed into the end zone, and it's like, oh, maybe this offense is just going to go off. And then it kind of sputtered out, and the run game just came to a halt. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Joe Mixon's still dealing with that ankle. He has some extended time now to rest it and get right. I think the offensive line has to work through some things as well, but clearly the run game is one of those things that they need to improve on between now and Week 5.
And I have a feeling that Frank Pollock, as the run game coordinator, will get them right. In the AFC North, running the ball and running the ball well is crucial to winning football games, especially when you get into those December or January months. It's vital to be able to run the ball just because weather plays a big factor in Pittsburgh, in Baltimore, and Cleveland, and Ohio.
Yeah. It does. There's no doubt about that. And last thing, can't leave out Mr. Money Mac, Evan McPherson. What do you want from him? I mean, long snapper. He's got his backup long snapper in there. 57 yards, no problem. Fourth quarter. Let's just give the Bengals the lead. And that's what he did. He's unbelievable. I mean, he's such a good kicker. Perfect on extra points, 3 for 3, and then 2 for 2 from field goals. One was easy, and then one was a 57-yarder.
He's such a fun closer to watch. He reminds me, this is a baseball player, but he reminds me of Aroldis Chapman. When Aroldis Chapman would step in for the Reds, when he played here to close a game, you just felt it in your bones. Like you knew that he was going to close it out, the Reds were going to win. And that's kind of how it feels like when Evan McPherson goes up and has to kick a field goal. just have this feeling that it's going to go in because he is that good and that accurate. And that is something that is also incredibly vital when you're playing in the AFC North and it's such a tight race and there's so much talent within this division.
I like that analogy because there was a lot of hype at GABP anytime Aroldis Chapman rolled in. And Evan McPherson has so many fans here in Cincinnati. It's wild for a kicker. So that's a really good analogy, and that's a really good way to say farewell on a early Friday morning here at Paycor Stadium, where the Bengals take down the Dolphins 27-15. Undefeated no more in Miami. No one's undefeated in the AFC. So that means the Bengals are technically just one game out of the 1 seed.
Crazy.
That's nuts after an 0-2 start. Well, on to Baltimore, but enjoy this one. We have a ton right now on the channel. Jamar Chase clip. I know we're going to have Vonn Bell, Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, a bunch of interviews. Yeah. We're loaded. Yeah. At least got a ton of them when I was in the news conference. So make sure you check it out. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell. For Elise Jesse, I'm James Rapien signing off for now right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.